Dear Professor, welcome to this presentation created by team number 5 called Perfectionist, and let me, being as a team leader, introduce my team members. My name is Karina, and we also have Asad and Shukurullah. So let me introduce our database project. We decided to choose theme ecotourism because it is very contemporary theme and many people are concentrated on preserving our planet nowadays. And in particular, we chose Phillip Island Nature Parks organization because it provides different kind of attractions for its clients. So let's go through agenda. Today we will discuss main problems that our database manages. We also go through conceptual diagram, logical schema designed by Erwin, data types, testing queries, and we will sum up with the difficulties that we encountered making this project. So let me introduce the main problem. As you can see from the screenshot on the slide, the website of this organization doesn't have the box for the users that can sign in this organization. We think that it is very necessary because they need to buy products from each store and they also will need to buy tickets, so the need for the user is essential. So we created a database, and in particular, let me go through conceptual diagram. Let me start from the initiative. The initiatives of these organizations are divided into attractions for users like cruise activity or penguin parade activity, where people can see how penguins cross the coast from one place to another, and also it has education programs. Education programs are assisted by scientists and collaborators. They are like in a team. That's why they are in an aggregation team. Education program is provided for teachers and students, teachers who are already work in this sphere and students who will work in this sphere in the future. And also it has research, so every year scientists with their collaborators make different research on species. It can be either animal or plant. And finally, the last initiative is the conservation program. Conservation program contains conservation plan and conservation report. It is like the one, like conservation program contain final result of conservation plan where all the goals for the future year are listed, and the conservation report where the goals that are already achieved listed. That's why it is in an aggregation. And let me go through the user. As I already mentioned, users can be divided into students and teachers and also rangers who take volunteer actions in Churchill Island activity. And because of the partiality, it means that users can be just users. They can buy products, or of course they reserve ticket for the attractions, and they also can donate donations. And what about donations? Every donation goes to the revenue. So revenue mostly consists of the ticket price and the money that users donate. And every revenue goes to any of the one of the initiatives. So that's all for the conservation, for the conceptual diagram. Let me go through the logical schema. Here we have almost the same, but there are some things I need to mention is that we created special boxes for the multi-valued attributes because they has to have their own boxes. And also we deleted all relationships which are in a form of one-to-many or one-to-one, and only those relationships which are in a form of many-to-many are here. And also attributes of the relationships in a one-to-many form are in those entities which are, if we look from the side of chain notation, from the many side. That's all for the logical schema. Let me give the turn to Manamina Fasad.
Okay, as you can see, here's an Erwin diagram. You can see there is a relationship such as a buy, reserve, and donate. The reason why they are there because they're many-to-many relationship form. We know from database management courses in Erwin diagram, all other forms of relationships except many-to-many are prohibited to use here. Let's go back to the point. Here is an entity set called user, and it has a primary key user ID. It's not worth it to say that the user ID, primary key of user is appearing in the all other relationship and entity set as a foreign key. You can look at the buy, reserve, donate, and other entity sets. Okay, let's move forward. Here is a continuance of it. As the Karina Ashrafova said, most of the revenue are going to our initiatives that are divided for the 4 programs. The one thing to note worth here is to say that scientists and collaborators has a relationship called aggregation team. At first it was a works for, but as we know from the database courses, it's better to write aggregation team here. Okay, let's move forward. Here is the data types that we used in our SQL code. And the most of the data types we used here are the bar chart. They are about 6, and I think in the second place it's the text data types. Okay, let's move forward. Here is the continuance of it. We pay the high attention for the enum types because they are much more costly to use. They are recorded in database, so the user can choose it without typing it and making their self uncomport. Okay, let's move forward. Here is the SQL code by which we got the total revenue generated in 2011. As you can see, here is the sum amount about the 150,000. It's around it. Okay, let's move. So we got all data about initiatives where number of employees bigger than 150. We will also sort the result of number of employees as scanning from smaller to bigger by using order by code in SQL. As you can see, the wildlife protection is having one of the most number of employees, while the coastal birds research has the least one. Okay, let me give you a talk for my teammate Habibullah Shukrullah.
So let's talk about problems we faced while we were working with our project. We had a lot of problems, but here I would like to highlight the most problematic moments. So the first one is ticket entity. When we were testing our Erwin database design in PHP-MyAdmin, we got this error. It says 1064, you have SQL syntax error. And we tried everything with changing the project settings or changing the table properties, column properties, or even index properties, but nothing helped. And finally, I paid attention to the attributes of ticket entity, in particular to the attribute seat number. As you can see, seat number attribute contains a symbol. And according to my past programming skills, I assumed that this symbol may cause errors. Then I just simply replaced this symbol with a word, num. So the seat number became seat num, and as you can see, everything is working well. So it really took several hours to find this small moment, which caused a huge problems. So the second problem is related to the generating of DML file. It was a conservation report table, and it also took several hours to find this problem. And the solution was pretty simple. If we had large data inserted to the PHP-MyAdmin, the resulting SQL query was just cut off. As you can see, the 3 dots, and there is no proper end for SQL query. And we found the actual SQL query. You can see this in the bottom part of your screen. This is the actual SQL query we found in PHP-MyAdmin, and SQL query, which you see in the top part of your screen, was just a preview of SQL query. And as a result, as you found out, we were using the preview SQL query the whole time. But it worked except for this conservation report table. So now this problem is fixed. It was difficult to solve it, but we did it. So to sum up, I'd like to say that we will continue to work on ourselves, and in future, we will try to avoid such mistakes as much as possible. Let me finally give the turn to Karina.
So that's all for our presentation. We hope that you like it. And of course, we are looking for another such interesting courses in the future. It was really difficult. Thanks for all your effort during the whole semester, sending us such valuable knowledge. And we would like to say grazie for your course.